the threat or what is the risk for us being a sitting senator? Is it for funding or experience, or what is the challenge you see from her?
Both the things that you mentioned. Funding also, what happens is once she gets elected to the Senate, she was already raising the money for the re-election. But usually, for people who got elected to the State House, their next step is go to the Senate. Whereas this lady, my opponent, she's already a senator, but demoting herself to the coming to the House. The other advantage they have is she already knows the politics, inner politics, I mean. Whereas I don't know the inner politics. I know only grassroots level people and also at the leadership level. But she knows how the function, how the system works and all that. She can use that system to campaign against me. And also in the entire campaign, believe it or not, our entire campaign was negative campaign, making allegations against me without any proof. And purposely, she was misleading the constituency. But people are not that dumb. Voters really know who is telling the truth, who is not telling the truth. She never talks about the real issues. She never talks about the economy. She never talks about the education. She never talks about the public safety. But she talks about some social issues which are not going to bring any food to the table. When I go into the public, I speak about the issues that can make a difference. How can they bring the food to the kitchen table? And I basically discuss only kitchen table issues, not the social issues. So she has advantage. She collected about 500,000. And but I'm okay. I'm also equally competing, but not to that level. But at least more than halfway, I'm competing with her. And money is not a problem for this election. If I'm going to lose, that should not be the problem. So she, like you said, she has advantages in raising money, and she has advantages in knowing the politics. I don't. I had to raise money from mostly from my friends and locals, and even outside the state, I have friends because I've been in Georgia for 40 years, and a lot of people know me. So everybody thought that Narendra is going to work for the community if he gets elected. That's why they are giving the money. So I'm very thankful to the community and friends and the family, extended family, everyone who contributed to my campaign. Most importantly, I'm thankful to all the volunteers who are spending their valuable time in spreading the news about my campaign, and also personally coming with me to go door knocking, all these things. So volunteers are my biggest force.
Absolutely, definitely. I think we always hear good positive vibes from you, Mr. Reddy. Wherever we have any community event, we always see you, and I'm sure that people recognize that efficient work, and they know about you, and I'm sure that you are going to, it will be a successful win for you. So tell us, were you able to sustain with the raised fund, or still you have any challenges there from raising the funds so far?
In the primary and runoff elections, it was not that problem for me to raise money. But those two elections costed me a lot of money. So that made a dent in my funds that I needed for the November election. So for this November election, believe it or not, every day I'm raising money. I'm making phone calls in the daytime. In the evening, I go for the door knocking. But luckily, it is tough to raise money again and again for the election, but not bad. Still, I'm very happy with the way we are accomplishing our fundraiser targets. And we did a very neat, very clear campaign, no negativity. And we're just bringing the issues to the voters, and the voters are realizing that. And I'm sure the people are realizing too. So this is going to help me a lot.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So who has been the biggest influence on you from the state government and politics? What have you learned from that person?
Particularly, my biggest influence in the national level was George W. Bush, president. When he was president, I had interacted with several times. And getting me into the politics is President Reagan. At the state level, I like all the three governors that we have so far. Luckily, all of them are very efficient, and they kept the state. Even, for example, current governor Brian Kemp, he put the state in a healthy condition even during the pandemic. Economically also, he did an excellent job. And this year, for example, 2022, we had the largest surplus we ever had in our budget. That is $6.4 billion. We never had a surplus that kind of level in all my 35 years in Atlanta. Particularly, the Republican governors are very good for economic issues. When first time the Republican governor got elected in 2002, there was no funds in the reserve, zero. Today we have at least 4.6 billion in the reserve funds. In case of emergency, governor should be able to do. So I like all the three governors, Brian Kemp, Nathan Deal, and Sonny Perdue. And also all of them appointed me to the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. And so I've been a board member of that authority for the last 19 years. So actually nobody served under three governors. So when I'm serving under three governors, that shows one thing. I'm a team player, and I can work under any kind of conditions under the leadership of anybody for the betterment of Georgia. So I'm very happy to be working with three governors in my stay in Georgia for the last 35 years. And this position is 19 years. And I'm one of the senior most members in the board.
That's great to hear, Mr. Reddy. Working with three governors, I'm sure that you have a lot of experience to, serve this office. And you touched upon one of the surplus amount in state of Georgia. I definitely wanted to ask more question. Most of the funds which are spent on taxes and also spending on education, right? So, for example, even in 2023, let's say the surplus amount remains the same. So, what is that you want to spend on? If you were to give a chance to ask what you want to spend on.
Okay. One thing is this money that belongs to people. People pay taxes from their pockets. So some of the money already been returned this year, and some more will be returned to the taxpayers next year. But other money that will be still with us, we're going to use for the healthcare, to improve the healthcare particularly, and to improve the infrastructure of the state. And these additional funds are going to help for the schools, to improve their infrastructure facilities, and to get the teachers trained in the new subjects, and sending them for new trainings, these kind of things. Because Georgia needs to be, Georgia is particularly right now is the number one place for doing business in the entire country. So we want to make sure that we are supporting that system with money if needed, when needed. And we want to continue to keep Georgia as the number one state for doing business.
Absolutely. So in many of the interviews are the questions from the media, I could see that you like more, even though you like three governors, as you said, but I could sense that you like more on Nathan Deal. So tell us more, what was that you liked about Nathan?
Nathan Deal is one person who taught me to work with even opponents. When Nathan Deal was the governor, he was working with Democrats also to get things done. Rather than fighting all the time in the legislature, he has a lot of projects to go. He came with as a governor with an agenda. To get that agenda approved and happen into the practice, he was working with, whenever he needed, he crossed the aisle and he spoke to the Democrats, and he took their support, and he explained to them why it is good for Georgia. And also he convinced them, let us not play politics that can hurt the progress of our state, and that can hurt the lives of our citizens. So that is what I learned from him. When I get elected to the State House, that's what exactly my plan also. I want to work with everybody, not just with the Republicans, but I want to work for the betterment of the state and my district. I'll be ready to work with the Democrats as and when needed. And I have a way of talking to those people also. So I'm very confident we can get things done rather than just sitting there and fighting every day for things that we can never accomplish. So let us do what we can do practically. So I'm going to take everyone's support.
Brilliant thought, Mr. Reddy. Coming to the being in media, I've been observing, right? People are coming out for politics, and especially Mr. Kemp, I like, because he's very, very social with all of us. He comes to our events, And not only that, he has given an opportunity for 20 Indo-Americans, whatnot, in his board or any of the members as a board member in some of the like healthcare, in the transportation, in the education, in the justice. And tell us more, like when you run the office, what is in your mind that you are going to bring, how you are going to bring Indo-Americans into the boards or nominate them left, right, and center to make them more active?
No, I've been doing this all the time anyway. For example, in Georgia, we have about 15% of the physician force is Indian Americans.
Absolutely.
But they never had a representation at the board of licensing, medical and health board licensing. So when Governor Sunny Purdue was governor, I persuaded him to appoint one of us into the medical board, medical licensing board. That happened during his time because he asked me, okay, whom should I appoint? Then I took the advice of the local association of the physicians, and I gave the name and he appointed. After that, we never lost. We have a representation. And particularly Brian Kemp came as a governor. Now we have 2 medical doctors on the board of Indian origin. So I was doing this all the time, and I will continue to do that. We need to get our share in the boards and all these boards that the governor appoints, because we are one of the highest tax-paying community, and we have the highest average household income, and we have the lot of businesses owned by Indian American community. But we need representation in the related boards. Otherwise, the licensing law can be changed any time. The licensing laws can be changed to hurt particularly our community. So we need to have a person at the table. We never had a person at the table in many boards, but Governor Brian Kemp also doing very good. He appointed a lot more people, and this will continue because Brian Kemp is going to win again, and he's going to continue this one for 4 more years for sure.
Absolutely, Mr. Reddy. I think this is a great change in the coming years, and I wish that you have to win and bring more people onto the board. And you touched upon health, you touched upon security, you touched upon education, you touched upon even the economy, right? So how do you see the housing market, right? Let's talk more about housing, how the bubbling happens and what will happen in the next 2 years. So when you take on the board, what is your thought process on regulating the housing market?
Housing market is basically local level mostly. It is a county level. The zonings and all that are handled by the county. The state level, we do only one thing about the regional development. Is if some region that they want to develop some kind of housing, the government decides whether it is because you have to look at the transportation issue. We don't want to high density in one place because it can to create a traffic gridlock. So those kind of issues at the state level are decided. But otherwise, 90% of the residential construction and all that are decided by the county level. Second thing is, you asked me about what is the housing market going to be. With the current interest rates being at 7%, actually next week it will go to 7.5%. Almost like will be tripled since last January. In 1 year, the interest rates are tripled in a high level. That means more and more people are not qualified to buy. A person who is qualified to buy a home when the interest rate was 2.5%, now he is not qualified because the rates went up to 7.5% almost. So we have to look at that one. The market is going to be kind of on a pause button for some time, or at least the demand will be less. And already builders are very careful now. They're cutting down on their constructions. They're waiting. But nothing is going to change, at least for next 1 year for sure. It is going to be very tough for the residential builders, and also for the people who wants to buy a home. They may have to postpone their dreams.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Mr. Reddy. So being in media, definitely, I'm sure that you're going to win the race. And I would request you to put us also in some of the boards to understand more on the communication with the government, and we be equally part in those aspects as well. With that said, I think it's a wonderful journey what you have so far, and what we see, and the support from the Indo-American community has been fantastic as well. So in the next 2 days, what is your message to the community and how can they help you?
This next 2 days, I'm focusing on the Indian community particularly because there are about 2,000 voters who have not voted yet in the early voting. So today, actually, right after this interview, I'm going on the door knocking of the Indian communities, particularly in the Sheikh Wag area, because that's where the communist at large lives. And so this today and tomorrow, that's what my focus is, because 2,000 votes is a lot, because that can make or break an election. So this is where before I was focusing on the mainstream and Indians and everyone, but these last 2 days, I'm going to go after Indian community. I'm going to talk to them to make a selection in this election and send me to the White House, State House, because this will be an history. Because in India, in Georgian history, we never got an Indian American elected to the state level job. So this is going to be a big historical event, and I will ask all the Indian community to be part of it by voting on November 8th.
Absolutely. I think I would urge each and every viewer or the Indo-American citizen in Johns Creek area, District 50, please go and vote on 8th of November, and let's make this as a successful win for Mr. Reddy, and he will be our voice, and I'm sure that he's such a loving person. He will listen to everyone and he will make a difference in the legislature. Please do vote right now. Please be prepared on 8th. If you have any challenges, adjust to the other day and ensure to avoid more lines. Go early and vote on 8th. Thank you so much, everyone. And Mr. Reddy, I think we wish you a successful campaign, and I'm sure that you are going to take the office and we will be behind you. Thank you again. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts and views and my campaign methods. I really appreciate this. This is a great forum. I'll be looking forward to do more interviews in the future.
Thank you.